Want to just do a little bit of work around slope. Need to remember that slope is nothing more than rate of change. So it's basically the angle, the direction, but it's the rate at which a line will change over a given domain and range. So in this case, we see that if this is the x and y axis, okay, here would be our slope of our line. Our slope of our line represents the rate at which this line changes. The calculation most people are familiar with is that slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Sometimes we write that change in y over change in x. Sometimes we write that as rise over run, meaning the amount of rise in a line over its run. Okay, so what we're going to do is just make sure we understand the basic formula right now. If I gave you a point 1, 2 and another point 3, 5, and I asked you to calculate the slope, we would do the change in the y value, so we go 5 minus 2, that's our change in y. 3 minus 1 is our change in x. And so we get 3 over 2. So in this case, if I said what's the slope of a line that goes through the points 1, 2 and 3, 5, you're going to subtract the y variables, and then you're going to subtract the x variables, and you're going to get a slope 3 over 2. Alright, so make sure that you can do that. The other thing that I want to make sure you know is that when the slope is in this direction, okay, the slope is positive. Okay, so anytime you have a slope of a line that's positive, the line is going to go in this general direction. If I gave you two lines, okay, one that looks like this and one that looks like this is the steeper line. Okay, the steeper line is going to have the larger slope. So this could have a slope of 1, this is going to have a slope greater than 1. Similarly, we're going to have slopes that are negative. This is slope being less than 0. Okay? So we have positive and negative, and then we have steepness. We also have special lines. We have what's called the vertical line. Okay? This is a vertical line. It has no slope, or we should say the slope is undefined. That would be the more accurate way to write it. What does that look like? If I gave you a point 5, 2 and 5, 3, and I said calculate the slope, you would do change in y, 3 minus 2 is 1, 5 minus 5 is 0. Okay, you cannot have division by 0. Whenever you have a slope calculation where the denominator is 0, it is a vertical line, and it has undefined slope. Okay? The analogous situation would be the horizontal line. Let's assume we had a horizontal line. This is a horizontal line. Horizontal line has a slope of 0. Okay? That's different than undefined, slope of 0. If I asked you to find the slope of 5, 2 and 2, 2, you would do change in y, 2 minus 2 is 0. Change in x, 2 minus 5 is negative 3. 0 over anything is 0. Whenever you get slope is 0, you're going to say horizontal line. Two other quick things. If two lines have the same slope, let's assume I had line 1 and had slope equals 2, and I had line 2 and slope equals 2, meaning two lines with slope 2. Let's assume I put in a y equals mxb for you. If I had two lines that look like that, remember slope is right here, I said, are these lines perpendicular, parallel, or neither? You would say these lines are parallel. And you would say that because their slopes are the same. If I gave you a line m equals, that slope m equals 1/2, and a second line with slope equals negative 2, that's also a special case. That might look like y equals 1/2 plus 7, y equals negative 2, I'm going to say 2x minus 3. If you look at these two slopes, what's special? Well, you can see that the sign has been switched from a positive to a negative, and you can see that the fraction has its reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. So when we have opposite, meaning on the sign, and reciprocal slopes between two lines, both of these being true, we have perpendicular lines. Okay, so it's important that you recognize cases like that. I can give you two lines like this and say, is that perpendicular, parallel, or neither? you would look at the slope and you would see that the sine, and you would see that it's the reciprocal, and you'll say perpendicular. For this case, you'll see that the slopes are the same, so you'll say parallel. So those are things that I want you to know about slope. Good luck.